time aboard. This is the Miles to Go podcast. And now here's your host, Ed Pizza.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Miles to Go podcast. Mr. Kerr and I are tuned in. We are going to be joined by a special guest in a few moments, but I figured, Mr. Kerr, since we weren't matching today, I wanted to make sure that people still understood that we're brothers from another mother.
Last night I was your work wife. A few minutes ago I was, you're sometimes my piggy bank, and now we're brothers. But we did not coordinate outfits today. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, good for you. You don't have to look at us, at the two two good-looking guys that we are.
One good-looking guy and the other one. You can figure out which one.
Yeah, what are you?
Not the good-looking one. But in honor of you this morning, and for folks who are not listening, folks who are not watching, you should be. What are you drinking this morning, Mr. Curry? Show the audience.
I got a Topo Chico in the glass bottle. I don't want to see any of that plastic bottle stuff Costco sells.
In honor of you, live on the air. You ready for this? There it is with the Coke tap.
The problem is chugging Topo Chico while recording a podcast is it tends to make you have to burp from time to time. Let's problem of live drinking.
We will have a future episode about the top 10 things that we do right in podcasting. It will be a very short episode.
Number 3, that's all we got.
Number 3. All right. So what's on tap today? We're going to talk about this curveball right after the world caught on fire with Florida State and getting tossed out of the bowl game. Alaska. Somebody in Seattle was like, "This is the perfect time to announce the Alaska Hawaiian merger. We have the perfect cover." So we're going to talk about that. Jared is going to join us from Thrifty Traveler Premium to talk about the company and the product, and we're going to talk a little Air Canada Aeroplan. But first, Mr. Kerr, you were at one of our favorite places. We haven't been in a while. Probably need to go back. And I have had mixed feelings, but it sounds like your feelings are more mixed up than mine. So let's talk a little Great Wolf Lodge.
The Great Wolf Lodge. This has been a topic of mine since about 2018 when they built one in my hometown of LaGrange, Georgia. No, this is
the other one.
The verb. So the Mrs. Kerr hosts a ladies' mom's Christmas party at the house every year, and she gives me ample heads up time that, hey, you and the kids cannot be here this evening. So in true form, I had one plan to go up to Atlanta, and then I caught the Great Wolf Lodge emails have these promo codes that come out. And I was like, this looks like a pretty good promo code. Let's see what the rates are. And it was like $129 for one of those themed rooms.
Right. The Wolf Den or something like that.
Yeah. Which is as cheap as a Great Wolf Lodge gets.
Very much
I mean,
yeah.
It's like there were like 4 other people there. The only other degenerates on a random Tuesday night in December in between the holidays when school is in. And like, it was awesome because there's no lines. But I mean, $129 advertised room rate, Ed. Is that really what the room rate is at the Great Wolf Lodge? Like they would truthfully advertise their prices, right?
It used to be, but no, not in the current world.
No, they got a $40 resort fee. That's gone up because I first wrote about
that's out. That's definitely higher. Oh, I remember you writing about it. Yeah,
I wrote about it, and it was $29. I think it was even $24.99. Now $40 that is hidden until the very last page of checkout, plus a variety of taxes and fees. So I mean, first of all, yeah, I really think the room, the theming, and the water park are solid products that my kids have an absolute blast in.
I will say the adult beds are quite poor, but the kid beds are
good. We had a good time. My overarching feeling, once again, I haven't been back in 2 years, and I remember now as soon as I got there and experienced everything, while we hadn't been back in 2 years, again, I think it's a really great product. The water park is top notch. I really enjoy how seriously they make the lifeguards take their jobs there. And my kids are at the age now of 7 and 9 that I felt comfortable with, again, how serious the lifeguards take their job there and do a great job, that nothing was going to happen to the kids. And they could kind of, for the first time, roam a little bit by themselves as long as I knew what general area they were in. So we had a great time. But man, you talk about the pettiest professional nickel and diming I've ever seen in my life. Great Wolf Lodge just continues to excel in their pricing model. I think they have a wonderful hard product. I think it is packaged and priced all wrong. And I think they're trying to make more and more revenue by nickel and diming instead of presenting opportunities for value. And this was the conversation I had with Mrs. Kerr last night as we talked about it. She thought, it's been a while since we've gone. What do you think? And I was like, well, like everything, man. And the new thing at the Great Wolf Lodge there in LaGrange, Georgia, is there is now premium preferred parking close to the doors. And you have to text a number to park there. So I was impressed with that petty, like, why is there preferred parking at this place? When it's just like, I mean, it just and it was completely empty. And I'm like, now you've just moved everybody further away. It's to irritate them. So
And how much was the
here's
preferred parking?
I didn't even read. I saw the sign that said preferred. I was like, what are these signs up and why is this parking lot empty? I was like, it almost looked like there was an event or something. And it was just, I got up and read the sign. It was like preferred parking to pay and park here, text this number. And I was like, nope. And I just quit reading right then. And we went one aisle over and parked there. I want you to know they take your health and safety serious. Do you know how serious they're still taking your health and safety? They don't want to put any housekeeping in there that could potentially harm you. So they're still have the signs up on the mirror that say there is no housekeeping, but it is for your health and safety. Let's get over that. We are way past that. Dude, there's no soap, there's no shampoo or conditioner in the rooms, no housekeeping.
Wait, no soap and shampoo in the rooms?
I mean, there's just a little there's one bar of soap
Yeah,
that is
yeah,
sitting on,
yeah.
so bring your own, there's no like communal shampoo or conditioner or whatever. And it's just, dude, the food is ridiculously priced. All the activities are ridiculously priced. The Magic Wand game now is $35 per kid. There's just no value there. The food outlets just looked, and maybe because it was really off peak, off season, but like there was no way we were eating at this place. Like the menus have been scratched out by pencil and like note paper taped over the prices to change, just little things where it's like, oh, come on. But end of the day, paid, I think it was just under $200 after the resort fee and the taxes on top of the $129. That's as cheap as this place gets. The kids had an absolute blast, man. But I'm just in no rush to get back, and I think they need business. So we had a one night stay. We got back from dinner to our room, and there's a little piece of paper that said, hey, extend your stay for $90 to do another night. I just before we started recording got another email that said, Kerr family book again. Here's another 50% off promo code. Like they could have, I don't know, man. It's just the pettiness of the pricing and the opaque. I would be a place that I would take my kids, especially the ages they've been all the time, especially in the winter when you're looking for them to go inside somewhere and blow off some energy. If you could just present an opportunity for value instead of the pettiest of petty nickel and diming. That's kind of my deal. But at the end of the day, kids had a blast. Man, we raced down the water slides. There was never a line. I had the lifeguards timing us to see who could get down the slides the fastest. Like everybody's looking for something to do. So off peak on a Tuesday night, man, it was completely awesome. Another reason we love homeschooling the kids. We could just take off and do that. And I shifted some meeting around in the morning, so I didn't have to get back home until 11. So we got back in the water park yesterday morning. And really, that's what it was about. Having a great time, getting kicked out of the house, kids having fun with dad. But, man, I haven't been there 2 years, and I'm probably not going to go back for at least another year just because I just don't want that pricing ridiculous experience again.
Yeah, I got thoughts. But while you're polishing the soapbox for a minute, for folks who are just tuning in, you can shoot us an email, ed@pizzainmotion.com. You can text us if you want to leave us a voicemail. You can call us at 571-293-6659. If you want to join the Slack community, help support the show, just sort of like our version of Patreon, there's a link in the show notes for the monthly and annual memberships. And oh, by the way, we are giving away an annual membership to United Club to one lucky Slack member in December. So you might get an early holiday gift if you sign up now. On social media, he is at Kerr Points, and I am at Pizza Motion on all those same places. So, Great Wolf Lodge, a couple of things. We've been going to Great Wolf Lodge since our daughter was, 3 years old, so 15 years. They used to do, as you know, the room rates are typically, call it like $400 a night, and that covers 2 adults, 2 kids, a water park access to your room. At times, it used to include breakfast and stuff like that. But what they used to do, which I thought was a very smart way to do it, was you had your room package, and then there were upgrade options in the booking flow for $30 extra night, $50 extra night. They're different tiers, and it included a Magic Wand game. It included a run to the bowling alley. It included some tokens for the games. It included enough for your kids to go. Yeah, so like all those little taste of things, I think made sense. I think they pulled the food out, which I think was a mistake because it used to include the buffet, but then that was a way to get you to upgrade to other things in the restaurant. Add a glass of wine on for mom and all that stuff. So, I definitely think that they trimmed some of those options out, and that was a mistake. For folks who haven't been to Great Wolf Lodge, it's a massive water park, and as Richard said, it's very well done from a water park standpoint. Water's clean. We never worry about cleanliness there, never worry about safety. What I think they've figured out is that kids get tired after, a couple hours in a water park, and you're there overnight, and so there's all this other stuff, and that's where the add-ons come in. I think this would be this is a clutch opportunity to be able to say, hey, that resort fee or the room fee covers a magic wand game and $5 in tokens at the arcade, because most kids aren't going to want to do just one. And also too, like if you're going to do the magic wand game, not to get overly nerdy for folks, but you need a wand, so you got to buy that from them. So I think there are ways for them to structure this that would be better, but clearly they don't see that value. And to your point on them needing business, I think like they do a good job of building them in between big cities, but it's when the economy is challenging, $400 a night to go to a water park for a family of 4 is rough.
It's expensive, man. So those packages do still exist, but I did the math on it because this stuff is just what I do. If you did everything a la carte for like their biggest package, it would be like $90. The package is $80, so it saves you $10 over absurdly overpriced like scoop of ice cream and whatever mini golf and all that stuff. I think the other thing that I saw is I was like, guys, we're not gonna let's not pay this ridiculous price. Kids love the arcade. Let's go in the arcade. All the arcades now in the world are this way. Long gone are the tokens and quarters. You got to buy the plastic card and you got to top it up with credits and you tap your card to pay an arcade game. Dude, the credits that it costs to play a 30-second skee ball or like a 30-second arcade game, when you do the math, it was over $2 per game.
And the prizes are pretty lame too.
Dude, I was just like, I can't, it was $15 to get 60 credits. And you go to do like the little clown toss game, like knock the clowns over with the ball for 30 seconds. It's like 11.9 credits out of your 60. So you're always left with this obscure amount. They got it down to the decimal points. It's highway robbery, just how absurdly expensive it was to do that. And I was like, we're going back to the water park. And again, like the kids had fun in the water park. So like it's just annoying, and there's not even an illusion of value. Like there's not an attempt to find value. It's just we're going to nickel and dime and overcharge the bejeebus out of you until like you get it. And then I just looked up the resort fee again is $40 a night now. That is not disclosed in any of their specials. The room rate you see is exclusive of the $40 per night. That's not tacked on until the very last checkout page. Here it is. The resort fee at Great Wolf Lodge includes services or amenities designed to provide families with enhanced experiences and additional conveniences. Included amenities that would incur an additional charge at every other family resort, i.e., you are getting an additional $40 per night charge. This is what absolutely it's just a lie. Like services resort fee include water park amenities like life jackets and towels. By the way, if you don't turn the towels in, you get charged $15 per towel. Resort-wide internet access, virtual concierge service. Don't know what that was or what it did. And in-room amenities such as a coffee maker, mini fridge, and complimentary wolf ears. Again, complimentary is $40 a night. Stop saying it's complimentary. Like,
but those are
none
some
of
great
that
wolf ears.
like, man, like this is the soapbox I've been on for years now. Great Wolf Lodge continues to be the most egregious abuser of the resort fee, in my opinion, because of how it's not disclosed anywhere and how they say it's complimentary, but complimentary cost you $40 per night on top of those room rates, which can routinely be $300 to $400 a night. So it's just like, guys, like, I mean, you could have people advocating for this place, and like the TikToks I've seen of the Great Wolf Lodge recently, they're just getting destroyed. They're getting beat up. Like with that sad Titanic music and people showing like dirty, broken things and what. Again, not my experience at this Great Wolf Lodge, but I could see it, and this just isn't doing anything. So we'll hammer that home. Great Wolf Lodge, again, like I've been saying since I think I wrote my first column for the Points Guy on you in like 2017. Do better with the pricing, and like nickel and diming people is not a way to make up shortcoming revenue. You got to provide at least the illusion of value. And I would be back all the time. Instead, it's going to be like probably another almost 2 years before we visit.
All right, man, put your soapbox away. I didn't realize it was going to fire you up this much.
I know reading complimentary things that cost you $40 per night. It's complimentary, okay, but it's $40 a night, but it's complimentary. Like you can't just say stuff and will it into being true. Like it's still just not true.
I know this is going to be a trigger for you. I'm going to use this repeatedly. I love it. I want to see your wolf ears too. We need a picture of the wolf ears. But so let's transition out of for kids, people that don't have kids and don't care about Richard's wolf ears. Let's talk a little bit of the broader travel picture. And we're going to bring on our special guest this week. Jared Kamrowski from Thrifty Traveler is with us. I love the airplanes in the background, man. That is clutch. Love it.
That's a heck of a background he's got. So if you're not watching us on the YouTube channel, he has a radiator, like a old school classic. You're either in the basement of a brownstone and somewhere in Chelsea with airplanes on the radiator. I don't know, man. What you got?
Or an old wooden ship. It is hard to determine.
Well, the picture's not moving, so
no. We have our second kid on the way next week, so I have been sent down into the basement. And yeah, we're in a 1920s house. So
Nice, man.
I'm working on this. So yeah, the radiator is here for those of you on YouTube. But yeah, I'm trying to spice up some of my plans.
Second kid, man, I got to tell you, there was this period of time when my wife was pregnant where, we're in, as you guys know, we're in the restaurant business, and, the smell of Five Guys burgers and fries was absolutely a trigger for nausea. And so I had to get changed in the garage and then down to the basement to shower before I could present myself to my wife for the last 3 months of the pregnancy.
Don't lie. She still makes you do that today, man. You still got to shower before you present yourself. I don't even know what that means, but
It's fair. It's very fair.
It gets dicey though. It's dangerous. So I'm glad you followed directions. You're still here today.
Oh, yeah, I mean, those last few months of pregnancy, man, you are just, you are on alert, and there are hair triggers. It is real.
Yeah, I'm in the darkness, but I'm excited to be here with you guys today.
Well, we're excited we could catch you before the second baby is born, because as Richard and I both know, family math stops after one kid. Two kids is not twice as hard as one kid. It is exponentially harder because now there's never a free parent. Each parent has a child, and if one parent goes down, the ratio just is completely borked.
that's not what he wants to hear the week before he becomes a dad.
It's all right. I'm already at the bottom. I've already been torn down, so there can be no lower. No, I think I have a pretty good idea of where I'm headed.
It's just the zone defense part of it, and this will be a great segue into Thrifty Traveler Premium, because we all know this. Like, once you go for the third kid, I mean, forget about rooms in Europe, business class seats. I mean, from a travel perspective, parties of 5 are persona non grata in everything that we do. So my personal recommendation to you from a travel perspective is 2 kids is a great number.
It's hard to find hotel rooms for 4 in Europe, man, as I found earlier this year when we did Jared, we did a hop to Amsterdam and Austria, and just trying to find hotel rooms for 4 people with my 2 kids was annoying.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Well, we're done at 2, so we're gonna be safe. But it's still, it's tough. It's tough. Thank God. Ward space has been a little bit deeper. Yeah, we have a family trip coming up, and somehow we're putting our 2-year-old in a lie flat seat. But
Love it.
I mean, it's nice. 2's good.
2 is good. And boy, it's been a good week for alerts. So for folks that are just tuning in, Thrifty Traveler has been a sponsor of the show for the past handful of weeks. For folks that have followed along for a long time, we've just transitioned to video over the past couple months. Surprisingly, that comes with a whole list of expenses to make sure that the video looks good. And we've been really fortunate to have Thrifty Traveler Premium step in as a sponsor to help us bring you a higher quality show. What we've been doing the last few weeks, I'm going to start with this, and then I want to dig in a little bit with Jared on the company and how it came to be. But I love 2 things that came out from you guys this week, and we'll talk about some more. But the 2 that really struck me were pretty much widespread across all the hubs. Hawaii flights, a round trip and coach for 24,000 miles on Delta. I thought that one was really solid if you lived in a Delta hub. And then Europe and North Africa for 38,000 flying Blue Miles one way. Now that one probably incurs a little bit more cost because you had to position to Canada, but I think that shows that there's still a robust world of good value out there with points and miles. And first off, love you to speak to the value prop of Thrifty Traveler Premium, and then let's talk a little bit more about how you guys got to where you are now.
Yeah. Kind of how Thrifty Traveler Premium came about. Just like you guys, I got into the points and miles space, 15 years ago already. And all the time that, it's fun, it's exciting to search for award space, but it is super time consuming and difficult. So I'm not going to lie. I selfishly created a service that ultimately I can use to find award space. We always talk about our team. We get high on our own supply. Like, we are probably booking way too much vacation, and everybody's out of PTO. But yeah, finding award space is tough. And that's really that's our niche. That's kind of really what we're focusing on at the moment, is just helping Canadians and Americans, find award space worldwide. Yeah. Whether in the US, like you talked about the Hawaii stuff, or flying, abroad. There's so many different programs, so many ways to approach things. And even if you are an absolute expert, the amount of time that it takes to find, deals is it's a lot. And as you get families, have less time, it's more difficult. So yeah, that's really what Thrifty Traveler Premium is a silver bullet for. We of course find cash deals in addition to awards, but let's be honest, the pain point is most evident, I think, on the side of award deals.
Award alert I liked was the Atlanta to Istanbul space. There was a lot of Istanbul space. I think this was yesterday that came out. What I find particularly helpful, and what I think if you're on the fence about signing up for a service like this, are the little nuances that sometimes you miss. So if there's a great award space, you can say, hey, fantastic, there's 4 seats on the flight on Turkish Airways to Istanbul. But dadgummit, man, if you're not familiar with how to book 4 seats with Turkish, because it ain't going to happen online, Thrifty Traveler's got the little instructions down in the bottom right side of their emails that say, hey, as a heads up, if you want to book more than 1 seat with Turkish, here's a phone number you got to call. So kind of those little nuances that I find, even in my day job now, of people sending questions and it's things that I forget to explain with, the immaculate and wonderful IT of Turkish Airlines, some of the things you got to explain to people to make it happen. I think that's some secret sauce that you guys have going, and I want more of that. Like, let's break it down, all the little nuances that people sometimes forget or don't know.
Oh yeah, tracking transfer bonuses from so many different programs. Like it's a lot. It's like a full-time job to stay on.
It's like we
being
almost
on
have
top of
all spent our last 13 years trying to explain this to people.
That's exactly it. So I mean, I get our deals, and sometimes I learn things that obviously our team is growing, and I learn things from them too. So yeah, it's exciting to see how far it's come, because the service has been around for 6 years already.
How big is the company now? How many
So
people
we have 24 full-time employees.
I had no idea.
Yeah. We've grown. We've doubled in size in the last year, and I think we're going to continue to grow, and we're continuing to just ask customers. We're very, very customer focused, or we send out tons of surveys. We're like, what do you want to see? Where do you want to go? Where can we find, more deals to? What cards are you using? Which programs are you using? And just really listening and that focus, because there's a lot of companies out there just like, I know what you want, and we're going to send it to your inbox. I think that's where we're a little different.
How much of the secret sauce are you willing to share today?
Uh-oh.
How are these deals found? What are we gonna be able to look in the garage here behind this? The magic of finding these.
You want me to pull back the curtain a little bit? I mean, I'll be honest.
I was running out of cliche saying, so yeah, pull back the curtain.
Yeah. The great.
Don't forget the
Oz.
kimono.
No,
Don't forget to lift the kimono too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too. Just for YouTube people. It's a combination of automated tools and just a lot of just brute force manual searching as well. I think a lot of times everybody's always like, how can we automate this? And for sure you can automate a lot of it, but supplementing it with just manual searching through cash fairs, award fairs, etc. I mean, that's absolutely necessary to really cover all the gaps. And for us, by doing both a little bit of automated, some manual tools with some manual tools, automated and manual, that's how we, I think, find as much as we do. It's pretty rare, to my own horn or our company's horn, like it's pretty rare that we miss stuff. Of course, there's timing issues and things of that nature, but we got a pretty robust system at this.
Yeah, and a lot of this is really, being able to pull on a thread, and that's where you talk about, like, it'd be hard to automate all of the pieces of this, but there is logic. Typically, like using the Hawaii deal, Delta seemed to focus on hub traffic there, where the Istanbul deal, as I remember, I don't have it in front of me, but the Istanbul deal was a little bit more widespread in terms of destinations. And so, even when we find these things, there's still a lot of thread pulling to do. And to Richard's point about things that I like about Thrifty, it's that, typically what you'll see is a long list. I mean, sometimes a short list if it's not a widespread deal, but you can see a long list of departure cities. And where I think that helps folks, even folks who understand how to search for award availability, it's trying to put those pieces together. And in a lot of cases, to take advantage of the best value, you may have to reposition. So, like if I want to go to Africa on that Air France killer sale, and you get to Toronto, but Toronto's not hard for me to get to from Dulles. But I wouldn't. For me personally, if I was searching, I'm never going to search on a consistent basis Toronto to Northern Africa. And so what Thrifty Traveler does is like, I know, can you believe it?
Why not?
Because I need to sleep at least 3 hours a night. But there's just like, like you want to solve the rest of the puzzle, sure, But just seeing that alert gets my mind moving about, okay, great. Like they got me 90% of the way there. I've got to figure out this one small piece. And, obviously on the flip side, especially when you talk about European awards, so many low-cost carriers. So when an alert service like Thrifty Traveler Premium is sending me something that gets me to Europe, if it isn't exactly where I want to go, I know that between trains and airplanes, I can get to that final hop pretty cheaply. So they're giving us the lion's share of the work product that we need to make the most out of our points and miles.
Yep, that's it.
All right, I've got a macro environment question for you, Jared, and I have an answer to this. And so the way I phrase this is not gonna meant to say my opinion one way or the other. People tell me all the time. People tell me all the time in my day job that kind of the good deals that we've all gotten for years now and that you spread every day are built on scarcity. Where if everybody knows about these good deals, then there's less good deals or less opportunities for people to take advantage, and that quote unquote the game is being ruined every day, which is something I've read for the last 13 years.
Yeah, exactly. It's always ending. Yeah,
again, I'm not saying I agree or disagree with that. I have my own.
Sky is always falling.
Sky is always falling. Like what do you think is happening in the larger points and mile space? And as services like yours continue to grow, are you worried that there are less deals? Are you not worried about it? And again, I have not divulged my feelings about this whatsoever, but what do you think about that? And do you have members write in and say, man, this is like, if you tell everybody about the good stuff, it's all going to go away, right? Kind of what are your feelings on that?
Yeah. I mean, there's no question that like a service like ours, if everyone signed up for it, that would be a tragedy of the commons or whatever they would say, that it would, ultimately probably kill a lot of things. But the fact is that people want to go on vacations to different places. They want to use different points and miles programs. Everything is, how that stuff is so cyclical. Space will open up and then it'll be 6 months like we saw last year where there was no space. So things are always cycling through. Their interest is always changing. I don't see us growing to a point anytime soon where it's going to kill it. But yeah, there's always been these naysayers. I mean, you go back to 2010, people were saying, when TPG was blowing up, that they were going to kill everything. I mean, here we are many years later and things are still ripping. So things change, things cycle through, but I feel like the train's going to keep chugging along.
I would agree with that. I have one metaphor I always tell when people ask me this or tell me, or where they say, hey, there's not too many built points yet, but in the day job, people tell me we're going to ruin good things when everybody has these points now. Right. So here it is. So picture yourself on the busiest interstate close to wherever you live. Let's pick I-95 by Ed, which is the devil's road as far as I'm concerned. Yes. Yeah, dumpster fire. Absolute dumpster fire trying to get around DC. Now, let's say there's an accident that blocks the road. There's cars 1 mile in front of you and cars 1 mile behind you, bumper to bumper. If everybody got out of their cars on the interstate and you turned around and said, tell me the best use of a Chase Ultimate Reward, how many people in front and behind you stuck on the interstate can answer that question today? 7, 5.
I take the under on that.
Yeah, people in this community are so focused on this every single day that they completely lose sight of the larger picture of how small of a percentage of the population people like us really still are. I just don't think we're ever going to get close to a point of saturation where, something like Thrifty Traveler is going to quote unquote ruin this. Like, that's what I see with deals or all these things, or, a creator with a big following shares something, they're like, oh, you ruined it. I'm like, guys and gals, we are such a small percentage of this population that we're never going to get to that saturation point where, we're going to, points and miles are never going to be a great deal thing. So what you have to do is you've got to, for people that are really busy, is get avenues of information like Thrifty Traveler to you so that you can take advantage of the deals before the other weird people like us who are obsessed over this every single day take advantage of it. But yeah, to all the naysayers out there who say we're ruining stuff, ladies and gentlemen, it's just not the case. And I have even more of a appreciation for that kind of in the day job I've been in for the last couple of years now.
Well, no, you're really ruining stuff.
Perspective.
Yeah, you're really ruining stuff. It's the rest of us that are doing good things.
Your face is ruining stuff, Ed. So
that's true. I have a face built for podcasting, and yet here we are on a video podcast. This was also a good week, by the way, for cash alerts from Thrifty Traveler. There were two that really caught my eye. Sub $400 tickets to the Cayman Islands for winter travel. I love Grand Cayman. There aren't as many great values for hotel points options in Grand Cayman as there used to be, just based on the rise in price. But I still love going there. So I thought that one was clutch. And then it kind of caught me off guard, this Miami to Bogota for $600 one way in business class. Now,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I'm not hunkering for a week in Bogota right now, but to be able to get to, that area of the world for $600 and then position myself somewhere else beyond that, man, that's pretty solid.
I know this is like, it kind of just opens your mind to like the possibilities, or like a lot of times I'll be like, I didn't even know that route existed. Or
Right.
obviously, new nonstop routes are always, popping up. And then you see it's on sale and you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's a cheap, interesting, fun, maybe new product to get down to South America, explore. Yeah, Colombia. I think that's really like what the service, like a lot of our customers, that's really what the service is about. A lot of our customers like come to us and they're like, I want to go to Cancun next March 15th.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
help. And then you're like, hold up, try this service, like see what comes in. And people are like, wow, like this, because you can't, they're like, this is not what I expected, but this is crazy because now there's all these other things I can do that I never would have figured out on my own. And I think that's kind of like through our surveying from asking customers, that's where like the excitement is, because people are like, you can't tell people like, hey, rethink the way you travel. Like, don't just go to Cancun. No one wants to hear that. But when you present like tons of different options, it does change people's thought process. And I think that's really one of our underlying like long-term hopes for people, is people just see more of the world or explore places, that maybe they didn't know about or they didn't think they could afford.
On the long-term thread, what does the evolution of Thrifty Travel look like to you? Is there a 5-year road plan? Is there a 1-year road plan? What might be some cool things that you want to see in the next evolution of the business?
Yeah. We have a pretty specific vision. I mean, just continuing. We're doing so much on the development side, offering new features, new filters. They're rolling out every single week. A lot of them we're not actually advertising. We're kind of still testing. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot more stuff coming. Different customers want such different things. There's a lot of folks that don't collect points and miles. So they shut off the points and miles filters, and they just, maybe they just want to fly Sky Team, cash deals. So we're trying to, cater to as many customers as we can without making the service stupidly complicated. That's really the balance, I think, where we're at right now, of having too many things where you like log in, you're like, oh my, you're like, what's going on here? So we're trying to keep it simple, but offer, something that they want.
Firm believer, simplicity is the way to go in products these days. Firm believer.
Yeah, I think I love expert mode on United's website, but it's such a niche thing, and I think allowing customization is great. I mean, like the way I think about this is, a good friend of mine, I helped book Emirates tickets from JFK to Milan for a trip coming up in March, and he had something like 2 or 3 million Capital One Venture X miles, and he'd never transferred them to any transfer partner. And so like I kind of felt like he was at this moment where he's literally like a user of the internet before there were search engines. He's got stuff, but he has really no idea where to go with it. He has no Google. And when I showed him that he couldn't afford one business class ticket, redeeming his Capital One Venture X miles for cash against the ticket, but he could transfer something like, we transferred 300 and something thousand. So call it between 10 and 15% of his balance for 2 business class tickets on Emirates round trip JFK to Milan. And he's stunned, but like nobody had ever made that connection for him. And I think that's one of those things that I think people have really figured out how to earn. That credit card companies inundate people with those messages. But then on the backside, there's so many people that are really poor redeemers, and they're whether they're redeeming for Amazon or paying cash for tickets, they're not finding this sort of value that you can find from a product like Thrifty Traveler Premium.
Yeah, the burn side is hard. I mean, it takes time. People don't want to do the work, understandably, unless they're weirdos like the 3 of us.
Hey, that's 2 of you.
Sorry.
All right, fine. I'm over.
I don't want.
Oh yeah, because you're normal, Kerr. Yeah,
I'm very normal. Yeah,
Definitely normal.
All right, let's talk a little bit before we run out of time. I want to talk a little bit about Alaska, Hawaii. We talked a little bit on the Slack happy hour last night, and I'm still just so insanely interested in this on so many levels because, okay, so first off, teeing it up. For folks that don't know, Alaska and Hawaiian have agreed to merge. Alaska will be the dominant airline of the two, although the Hawaiian Airlines brand will stay. There's a lot of different elements here. Hawaiian has a great brand, has a ton of brand recognition. They also have the only lie flat seats between Hawaii and Alaska. Alaska has no lie flats. They have none on order. And then collectively, based on pulling some math last night, if you put Hawaiian and Alaska together, they're, call it, 30% of the lift to Hawaii, which, when Jared and I were talking about doing this segment, I mentioned that Hawaii still comes up every time we survey our listeners. And you mentioned that it comes up as top destination when you survey your customers. And so now, like this not monster airline, obviously, compared to the Uniteds or the Americans, but this larger airline is now going to control 30% plus of the lift to one of the most popular destinations in the world.
Therefore,
I guess I'll ask this to Jared first, and then I want to hear Richard's opinion, because I don't think we got all the way to this part last night. Do you think, Jared, that there are still going to be, when this all comes together under one program, do you still think there are going to be great values for Alaska Mileage Plan to book awards to Hawaii?
I feel like, to keep it really simple, this is good for award travel, but the lack of competition or the decreased competition is bad for the average consumer buying a cash ticket. That is my opinion, just to keep super high level. I mean, more one world options, bringing Hawaiian in there, great for award travel, possibly more stuff to Asia. Seeing what they're going to do with those Dreamliners is going to be interesting. That Hawaiian, has on order. But yeah, this is something that comes up so often, on the flight deal side of things. Any kind of decreased competition almost always results in higher fares on the cash side.
Hawaii's been so popular since the pandemic. Have you guys had many alerts on cash fares to Hawaii? Are there still deals that have been popping out there?
Yeah, with Southwest making so many inroads there, I mean, the competition has been, it's got to be one of the fiercest, most competitive markets. And that's why I believe Hawaiian has been struggling financially, for a variety of factors, of course. But it's so competitive now with Southwest in there. Yeah, we find tons of sub $200 round trip nonstop deals from the West Coast on Southwest, on Alaska, on Hawaiian, and other carriers, of course. So many players there. So yeah, we're seeing that. And then of course we're seeing stuff on the awards side, as Ed was talking about earlier in the segment.
Yeah, I'm not a believer that the Hawaiian brand's going to stay as is. I mean, we saw what Alaska did with Virgin America, including their fleet, which is that's kind of the puzzling part to me, is Alaska just worked so hard to become an all Boeing fleet again, and then instantly overnight they're a lot of brand new Airbuses and some old Airbuses. So it'd be interesting. Like all of that, I think it's important that they came out and said the Hawaiian brand's going to survive. I don't think that's going to be here for the long haul, pun intended there.
I just think the Hawaiian brand's so different than the Virgin America brand. I just don't think the Virgin America brand resonated with customers.
I agree.
I don't know. People who flew Virgin America loved it, though. I mean,
they loved the product, but
it was such a unique product that,
I just think with Hawaii, I think the demand for Hawaii and with Hawaiian in the name, I
think it's really expensive to maintain two different brands, and that's like a cost that's just going to. It won't be next year, but assuming this is approved by the DOT. But eventually the bean counters will start being like, why are we paying for two different of everything underneath the same group? I think it's also, I agree with Jared, I think it's great for the frequent flyer. I think bringing Hawaiian into the One World Alliance is going to be great. I can't wait to see, again, I talked about this a little bit last night, how many Cathay Pacific Asia miles it's going to be from the West Coast to Hawaii, like how many Avios it's going to be, what that space is going to look like on Hawaiian, like where the loophole is going to be, where's the great deal is going to be left ahead. That's really exciting because the Hawaiian program does have some really niche great uses, but overall is not the most highly sought after valued currencies. I think they've underperformed under index there. And I think bringing their co-brand card in and the whole portfolio into the Alaska makes a stronger buying power case to a bank to make an even stronger co-brand product to get whatever this future joint loyalty program is. Something not to be, to me, missed with what happens to that co-brand card. So I think it's really exciting from the loyalty perspective. Can't wait to see what they do when they combine these things. Again, I'm sure we're talking 2025 sometime for it to happen. But I don't think the Hawaiian brand is still around in 5 years. Yeah, there might be like a cool plane that, have you seen the Alaska planes that have like the lays around the Alaska? Like I think we're going to end up somewhere like that.
Yeah, so I'm going to set a bet because, we talked about me and betting last night, but before that.
It turns into a complete degenerate.
I do. Yeah, it could turn into. But, like when you think about them adding the 787s, it's interesting. So 789, based on configuration, let's call it 7,500 miles. I mean, that obviously Hawaiian has a presence, in Asia. Not a ton of routes, but they have a presence in Asia. The thing that I think that's interesting here is it opens up so much just based on where Hawaii is looking. I mean, setting aside headwinds and tailwinds for just a second. I mean, that's long enough to fly Heathrow, Honolulu. That's, I mean, like, so you can cover so much of the world and get people to Hawaii. And it does make me wonder, especially with these planes being premium heavy. We talked about this last night, 38 seats on the Hawaiian 787-9 configuration. Where's that premium demand going to come from? Well, could certainly come from Asia. China is a possibility if they could find routes. I think they have Haneda service now as well. Heathrow, I think would be high yield for premium seats. I just don't know if they could fill the rest of the plane. But I think like this range for them from a plane standpoint opens up everything on the East Coast of the U.S. So Miami, Honolulu is not a problem for sure. And then it really gets into some of these other interesting routes where you can really stretch to the edges of Asia and parts of Europe with a plane that does 7,500 miles.
Yeah, I thought it was super interesting. Hawaiian had the Orlando to Honolulu nonstop route, but it only lasted about a year.
I was surprised by that too.
Before it died, I'm like, how from those two leisure markets is that route not a success? Is that a marketing problem? Is that a product problem?
Could they just not get the? I don't know. Could they just not get the pricing on it? Maybe because I mean, people in Orlando, it's not a premium market like a Miami or a New York.
No, but you figure there's got to be enough people that even just want to get from the East Coast nonstop to Hawaii without having to go through Atlanta, right? Or through New York to make it happen. I don't know. I was curious, but that leads to questions like, how do the Alaska route managers who've only handled 737 domestic routes work with the Hawaiian international route? Like, you got a whole new series of skill set that Alaska's never had to worry about before to figure out in these airline operations. And I'm sure there's a lot of people nervous on both sides right now in these offices to see this happen. So it's incredibly intriguing. I think it's still going to be the 5th largest U.S. airline, even after they merge, which is pretty unreal to see how big those other airlines are. But hey, man, I'm looking forward to whatever the joint Hawaiian Alaska Mileage Plan loyalty program is.
Yeah, I mean, 5th largest for sure. But when you think about where they travel, Hawaii had demand before the pandemic, but I mean, it has limitless demand now, and they're gonna. I mean, I still don't see this getting rejected as a merger. I mean, obviously that's a possibility, but if it doesn't get rejected, they are gonna have an iron fist on Hawaii supply, and it'll be really interesting to see. All right, so here's our bet, and since Jared's our guest, he gets to hear your guess first before he makes his bet. So we're saying you said you thought 2025 is when we'll see the joined program.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to set January 2029 as the over-under.
2029 for the joint loyalty program?
No. 2029, over or under when the Hawaiian brand will go away.
The Hawaiian brand goes away.
You feel real confident about this, so I'm giving you 4 years. I think that's a solid over-under.
The Hawaiian brand as we know it today will not exist in under that. There might be whatever, they should. I think we were joking about this. It was either in Slack or text where they should rename themselves like Oconus Airways or some ridiculous combination of Alaska and Hawaii together. Like what that new. Like there's gonna be some kind of like the non-contiguous airways.
Frankenstein airline.
Yeah, but the Hawaiian brand as we know it today will not is under by 2029. All
right, Jared, you taking the over? Or you taking the under?
I mean, it's gonna go away. It has to. Just I think of like things like flight attendant uniforms. Like if as a flight attendant, you'd have to have 2 sets of uniform. Like it's just crazy. It has to go away. When does it go away? Yeah, I'd say 3 years. Yeah, whatever that would be. 28.
So all right, both of you taking the under. I'm gonna take the over, and I'm gonna take the over with 2 words, and they are Lufthansa Group. So that's what I'll leave it there. The mishmash of airlines. They don't care about. They'll put all the same seats on all the planes.
All because of European unions. So that's all because of European unions that get those things to control that way that don't exist with Alaska and Hawaii. It's just gonna be too expensive, man. It's gonna be too expensive. The Bean Counters Alaska Group are gonna go. We're not paying for all of this. There will definitely be some lineage and some homage paid to the Hawaiian brand. Like it's never gonna go away completely, but as we know it today, it's not gonna exist.
Is a question for both of you. Is there a historical example in the United States where this has happened and it's stayed? 1 operating certificate, 2 brands.
No.
AirTran. No.
They always kill it because of the reasons that Richard brought up.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes they kill it and it still lives on. Hello, U.S. Airways.
Like there's going to be a retro liveries are going to be the one thing.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see. So we've got it penciled in. If I'm not too old to still be podcasting in 2029, we will check in on the bet, as Richard likes to
It's
say.
mandatory retirement age of 65, so you've got a year left.
2 years left. All right, Mr. Kerr, well, actually, we're going to let Jared go first since he's the guest. I've got Disney coming up while this is being recorded, and you might be joining me, Mr. Kerr. And then I've got my last work trip to Vegas. Jared, we know you're getting benched because the second kid is coming. So what's the travel scheduled for once you guys are free and clear and ready to travel with baby number 2?
Yeah, I'm going to Guatemala in February, and then a big family trip with both sets of grandparents. Full bench will be present on a Flying Blue award ticket to Geneva.
Nice.
So that's coming up in April, which pray for us.
Nice.
That'll be fun.
Nice, yeah. Those first trips with the kids are a little rough, but you get them flying early, and they figure it out.
It'll help sitting up front.
Yeah,
Always does.
Always does. All right, Mr. Kerr. So over under, are you going to see me in Disney? Like when we record again, are we going to have seen each other in person?
I don't know. My wife just sprung this on me. So, Jared, we've got a long planned family Disney trip with my dad, the grandparent, coming with the kids next week. But tomorrow's my wife's birthday, and I've been asking her for months what she wants to do. She won't answer, and she just texted me and said, let's just leave for Disney early and go this weekend. And she historically has not been a Disney fan at all. So
no,
we might we might see you this weekend, Ed. We'll see what happens.
I like that.
All right. And one more in New York before the end of the year?
Not right now, man. I've resisted. I've done my New York time. And I, again, to all my Built employees listening to this, love you all, but if I don't have to go to New York City one more time this year, that's A-okay with me.
And you can all go to Noonan, Georgia. You can all go there, or you can come to Disney. Come to Disney and see Richard there. So
yeah,
I would be remiss if I didn't close by saying that if you do want to support the show, there'll be a link right below my face that Jeremiah will put up there. So our discount code for Thrifty Traveler Premium is GO10 to get $10 off your first year of Thrifty Traveler Premium. I am well into my second year and will be renewing for my third. I don't know if I'm going to see Mr. Kerr. It's kind of dicey. I appreciate Jared popping on the show and absolutely appreciate your support. Until we upload again, we've got miles to go.
Stupidly complicated.